Yes guys, hope you are all good whatever time of the day you are watching this video. Today is a upper session. It is the first upper session of the week and it is being done at EP Jungle, the new gym. So yeah, basically making a video today to first of all go over the session, but also because it is the first day of me starting my mini diet. I say mini diet, it's like a full diet pretty much. I'm basically just gonna get myself down to somewhat close to I'd say about 4 to 5 weeks out of stage conditioning. Yeah, if I had to predict how heavy I would be in that condition based off my last sort of stage weight, my last stage weight was about 68 kilos. So 4 to 5 weeks out of that with some more muscle this time around, I imagine will take me to between 70 and 72 kilos. I'm literally just going to go solely on based off how I look. I'm not really too fussed about the weight. I'm using body weight as a gauge to see how much weight I need to pull off and to sort of like control the rate of loss that I'm actually putting myself under. But the main thing is how you actually look. So throughout this, as I have done throughout the full off season, I'm going to be taking weekly progress pictures. As I get closer to the end, it's probably going to be, let's say, bi-weekly or maybe even 3 times a week progress pictures. I won't need to do it every day because I'm not actually doing a full like bodybuilding prep. When you are doing a full bodybuilding prep, you tend to need to feed back a lot more physique shots to your coach or whoever's helping you out. But if you're doing it yourself, you're just going to need to assess yourself a lot more because you kind of need to keep a bit more of an eye on things like you going flat and stuff like that. But given the fact I'm just doing like I say a fast diet, I'm not going to go over really 10 to 12 weeks. If I need to, I will, but I imagine I'll be able to pull off as much fat as I need in that sort of 10 to 12 week sort of range. So why am I actually doing this? Why am I not just continuing to push up the calories and just continue to look up? So I'll put my most recent check-in shots up somewhere over here. Don't get me wrong, I'm very happy with the amount of progress that I made. I've put on now, I was 80.5 kilos this morning, so as of like the last day of the walk, I guess you could say. And that is so that's just shy of 13 kilos up from my last stage weight in just shy of 9 months time, and I'm pretty happy with that because at this body weight that I'm at now, 80.5 kilos, I am in the best condition that I've ever been at this body weight. I'm also eating the most amount of food that I have ever ate. The last prep at the end of my off season, I was eating 4,475 calories, and then on rest days I was eating 4,115, I think, or 4,175. I might have got those two muddled up in terms of 75 or 15, that is. I was definitely eating over 4,400 calories on training days. And then to start the prep, that came down to 3,400, I think, and then I think on rest, no, tell a lie, I think that came down to 3,800, I want to say, and then on rest days it was 3,400, I think. Whereas this time around, at the end of the off season, I'd be eating 5,600 calories, and on rest days 3,800. So it's a bit more of a variance between the training day and rest day calories, which I've gotten well with, I've enjoyed, and that's kept my training in a really good spot while also resulting in me not gaining as much fat because I don't need to push my calories as high on a rest day. So yeah, that's felt really good. And then transitioning into this diet, I've literally just pulled down my training day calories down to 4,800 and rest day calories down to 3,200. So there's still the big variance, but 4,800 calories, that's 825 grams of carbs on a diet. To start a diet, that's insane. Like that's I'm still like, sorry, this whole time I haven't been force feeding, but like I'm still at the point now where it's like, I can't really be asked to eat. Well, obviously I eat anyway because I need to, it's on the plan. But if I feel like that to start the diet, God, it's going to be a breeze. It's going to be an absolute breeze. So yeah, I'm excited. I'm kind of curious to how low my food's actually going to get this time because at the lowest point of my calories during the last prep, it got down to 2,100 on training days, 1,850 or 1,900 on rest days, I think. Whereas this time around, I don't think it's going to get below like 2,000. And considering I'm not getting myself into that condition either, I don't think I'll need to pull it below 3k, which is pretty mental. Like that'll still be a comfortable amount of food. Like I'll probably get very lean without suffering, you know, which is, if anything, I'll actually prefer swapped the dips out for a single one set of a chest press, and I've put in an extra set of a tricep extension instead. So a bit more chest volume, one bit less of tricep volume, well, isolating tricep volume, because dips are kind of like a mixture between chest and triceps. So yeah, I'll catch you in the gym. Adios. Right, starting out the session on the single arm pull down, but on the HD plate loading machine, which is very good. It's kind of like a spin-off of the Nautilus Explode one, and they're both very similar. The only difference that I have personally noticed is the foot pads on this one are a little bit firmer, I guess, whereas they're a little bit squishier on the Nautilus Explode, and the seat is also quite a bit firmer. And I've noticed with the handle as well, you can bring it further in closer to your body, so you can tuck your elbow a little bit closer into your lat. But in terms of how both of them feel, it's very similar. I'd say this one's a little bit more biased in the short end. I'd say it feels a little bit heavier, I think, but they both feel spot on really. I can't really complain with either of them. Both the best single arm lat pull down variations that I've ever used. So yeah, 3 sets on here. Top set in a little bit of a lower rep range. I think I've got 6 reps on the top set, then 8 on the second set, and then 10 on the third set. So yeah, working in a little bit lower rep ranges, and then as I transition onto my second lat movement later on in the session, I'll work in a little bit higher ones. That's just my personal preference when it comes to the approach, but obviously do whatever you prefer. Then after this, we are moving on to the low incline Smith machine press. So I set the bench up on 10 degrees, if anybody hasn't noticed over the past however many videos I've done of this exercise. But yeah, I just prefer having a bit of a lower incline. I find if I go any higher than this of an incline really, I could maybe knock it up to 20 or 30 degrees, but anything above that, I just feel it all in my front delt, which isn't bad if you're trying to target your front delt, but I'm trying to target my upper chest specifically on this piece, so that is how I set this one up. And then on this, I got 4 reps with the same weight that I usually do, pretty much, so kind of maintained. But this machine, even though it is the same model as the one that I was previously using up at King's, it just feels heavier. I always say with most machines, even if they are the same model, little things can always be a little bit different with them. Even whether it is just the plates that you're using feel a little bit heavier, or maybe it's just bolted slightly differently, they can feel very slightly different. So it's always better to stick on the same machine if you can, possibly week on week, but if that's not an option, just be aware of the slight variances in the way that they are designed. But all in all, 2 sets on here felt very good. Like I said, first set, bit of a lower repper, 4 reps, and then on the back off, I got just shy of 8 reps. You can see this was an absolute fight. I was literally so close to locking out, and then it just, yeah, I lost it. But I managed to catch it on the safeties anyway. Anyways, after that, instead of doing the dip machine that I normally use up at King's, the Live Fitness one, the dip machine here is a Planet one, which is also the other one that they have at King's. However, this one, the way that it's designed, the handles just start too high up for my personal preference. I find it more awkward to actually get the first rep down and complete the set than it's even worth doing the exercise, to be honest. So what I've done is I have took that out, I've took dips out completely now, and I've swapped this for 1 set of the Flex leverage chest press. Last week I did the Nautilus leverage, but after trying out this one, I personally prefer the Flex. I like how it's dual at the same time, as opposed to one arm moving at a time. Personally, I just like the dual machines. I find that as I approach failure, my left arm will start to dance around a little bit and just put me in some slightly awkward positions. I'd rather just use a dual one. Kind of solves that issue for me. But yeah, set felt great on there, so I'm going to be keeping that in place. And I also have put in an extra set of tricep extension to kind of make up for the tricep volume, because a dip is, as much of it is a tricep exercise, it's also partly a chest exercise, depending on how you actually set it up. But the way I was executing it is probably a little bit more chest biased, if anything, because I was leaning a little bit further forward. But so what I've done is done 1 set of a chest press and then put in 1 set of a tricep extension, so kind of match the volume roughly ish. Anyways, after that, moving on to the Megamass T-Bar, which is a fantastic machine. At first, when I first used it, I was like, right, what's all the hype about? Why is this made out to be such a good machine? And I think the reason I thought that is because I couldn't really feel as good of a, let's say, contraction at the top as I can with certain other T-bars. And the whole reason for that is because of the way the actual resistance profile is on this machine. It's still short and biased for sure, but it's nowhere near as short and biased as most of the T-bars are, because most of the T-bars, it's very easy to start the rep, and then it gets very hard as you go to actually lock out and lock your shoulder blades together. Whereas this one, it's a lot more even throughout, so you can really grind the reps out on here and still get your elbows relatively far back. in comparison to how much you can on some other T-bars, like let's say that flex one next to this, that is a lot more short and biased. But yeah, two very good well, I did 3 total, but I've only showed 2. But yeah, 3 good sets on here. Top set, 4 plates, got just shy of 6 reps. No, I think I got 6.5 reps on this, which I'm pretty happy with. That's 1 rep up from last week. Second set, 3 plates and a 10, so 3.5 plates. Happy with that. I got 8 on that. And then third set, I got 3 plates and a 1.25, and I managed 10. So yeah, happy with all 3 sets on there. After this, we are then moving on to the Strive frontal plane pull down, which is a movement that I used to do a lot. I used to do a lot of like your, let's say, regular lat pull downs before I knew much when it came to actually targeting your lats. However, after looking at some new studies and stuff and speaking to a few other guys who have used this exercise recently, I've decided to put it back in and just see how I respond to it, I guess. Previously, this was the pullover machine, but I noticed that the only lat exercises that I've been doing, like direct biasing lat exercises, have been in the sagittal plane, which basically means where you are pulling your elbow, keeping your elbow in front of you at all times and tucking it into your hip. Whereas the frontal plane, like I'm training in this exercise here, this is where you're pulling your elbow down, keeping it to your side and pulling your elbow down into your hip from your side, well, as much as you can before you start to feel the rep. So top set on here, I had on cam setting 1, which definitely made it harder to lock out. So I'm probably going to switch that to cam setting 5 based on where this exercise is actually placed in the session for me. And then the second set I did on cam setting 3, where it's basically the easiest, not the easiest, but the resistance starts to drop off as you get closer to that lockout, which personally for this machine, it just feels better. So probably going to keep it more. I'll do 1 set on cam 5, 1 set on cam 3 next time. Then we are moving on to the seated on a bench cable tricep extension. Now this is just an exercise that you can do. It doesn't have to be done this way. You could do it standing if you wanted. It's more so just pick an exercise that you connect with for your triceps. You can get a full range of motion. It's very nice being able to do it on this gym pin rope cable / handle machine, whatever you want to call it. And funnily enough, the guy who trains at gym pin, the guy who designs gym pins actually trains at this gym, which is pretty sick. However, I've not bumped into him yet. But 2 sets on here, felt very good. Top set, a little bit heavier. I think I got 7.5 reps on this. And then the back of set, I got 9.5. So yeah, buzzing with both of those. Felt very good. Then after this, I moved on to the lying cuffed cable lateral raise. You know that I'll never take this exercise out. It's by far, in my opinion, the best side delt isolating exercise that you can do. I've found that my side delts have just responded ridiculously to me doing this exercise throughout this off season, and even through prep too, but I've definitely dialed in my execution on it when it comes to this off season, so I'm doing it better basically in simple terms. But I've switched this back onto the Cybex Bravo because I noticed that with the other kit, I mean, you could do it on any cable, it's completely fine, but with the Cybex Bravo, with the way I've got it set up, I can make it a little bit harder in the lengthen range, which is basically kind of where your delt is probably at its strongest. So with most sort of cable lateral raise variations, it's relatively easier to do this sort of like motion where it's coming from your hip to maybe up to that part way up your body kind of motion. Whereas that top part where you're going from, let's say, halfway up your body to a 90-degree angle, that's going to be the harder position, and it's very much the case when it comes to doing it lateral raises with dumbbells. Whereas with it, when I set up this machine, I can sort of make it more even throughout, which just makes it feel a little bit smoother. Makes it harder in the bottom, which is nice. I do like a little bit of a challenge with these. So in total, did 3 sets of this exercise, as I always do. And I definitely worked in a little bit lower rep ranges this time around because I was just sort of gauging the weight and I probably overshot a little bit. But as the weeks go on, I can progress on that and just work my way back into the previous rep ranges that I was doing. So last time I was trying to keep it above 10 reps or so, and this time I think I got 6 reps on the first set, 8 reps on the second set, 10 reps on the third. Ideally, I want them to be above 8 minimum, pretty much. So I'm just gonna stick on this weight, get a 7 next week, 8 the week after, and just stick on that weight then and just build my weight above 10. And then after that, moved on to 2 sets of this hammer strength overhead tricep extension machine, which is very nice. I did this last week with 15 kilos on the pin, and I got 8 reps on the top set, and then I dropped it down to 10 kilos for the back off, and I got 13 reps even, I think. Yeah, 13 reps. Whereas this time round, I put 15 on the top set again. However, on the back off set, I also kept 10, but on the top set, I got an extra 2 reps, so I got 10 reps. Then on the back off with the 10 kilos, I got 18 reps on 5 reps up, which is very nice. And that is pretty much solely down to me just getting used to the movement, getting used to how it feels. And to be honest, that's kind of the case with a lot of these new machines that I'm trying out in this session. I'm not just taking crazy load or rep progressions just because I'm getting that much stronger quickly. Otherwise, that would have been happening when I was training up at King's on the same machines that I've used for like 6 months straight pretty much. Because these are new machines, your body gets used to them. Sorry, your body's still getting used to them. So that is where the crazy progressions tend to come from. And over time, that will slow down. But it is that point when it is starting to slow down. That is the point where you basically need to lock in and just really try and keep progressing, because that is where the true muscular adaptations will take place. At the moment, it's just my nervous system getting used to the new machines pretty much. But yeah, to wrap this session up, very happy with how that went. I progressed almost every single set, so cannot complain one bit. Right, yes guys, hope you're all good. I don't know what's going on here with my lighting, it's making it really bright, which is a bit off-putting, but it is what it is. Good session, upper A, so first session of the week, like I said in the intro. Really good session today. I progressed everything pretty much, like almost every single set, which is spot on. I covered most of it in the voiceover, so I'm not going to ramble too much on about how the actual session went. But what I will say is, when it comes to you starting a diet, a lot of people go into it with the mindset that they're going to lose strength if they lose weight. But at the start of your diet, you should be able to still continue progressing your numbers for a significantly long time. Like up until maybe 4 weeks out, maybe. Like that kind of condition, which most people won't ever get to. Your numbers shouldn't really be regressing. If you're programming everything properly, you're not doing excessive intensifiers like drop sets, rest pause sets, muscle rounds, just a bunch of random intensifiers that you don't need. If you're not doing, like, you shouldn't be doing those in a deficit regardless, because you don't have the excess of calories, excess of glycogen and fuel to facilitate your recovery when you are doing those, like you would do if you are in bulk or an off season, whatever you want to call it. So yeah, you should definitely pull those out if you do have them in. But at the start of deficit, like, you're still eating a good amount of food if you set it up correctly, that is. So you should still be able to progress your numbers. A lot of it is just your mentality. You just need to go in, forget your deficit, forget all that. Just go in and attack your sets the same way you would as if you were in a surplus, like as literally like the week prior, as if you would do normally. And I'm only saying this because this is something that I've been guilty of in the past. Like in previous diets, like a couple of years ago, for example, as soon as I got into the deficit, my mentality would be, right, I just need to maintain all my numbers and make sure they don't go down, which is something that you should be actively trying to do. But at the start of a deficit, you can still progress them. I wouldn't even like put it in my head that I could progress them. I would be like, right, I'm in a deficit now, so I can't possibly progress the numbers, I just have to maintain, which simply isn't true. So bear that in mind. Don't bottle it when it comes to your sets just because you're in a deficit. Basically just forget you're in a deficit is my advice. But yeah, good session overall. I didn't get a physique update because there were some people in the posing room I didn't want to film while they're in there, so I just did a couple of posing rounds. I did a posing session with Kyle, Mr. Kyle Atkin Fitness, shout out to Kyle, top man. And we just went through some like men's physique transitions and stuff. Obviously touched up on the man issues as well, but so previously when I was doing like my front shot and then all my quarter turns, I would have my wrist pointing basically, and I wasn't actually fully angling my body as much as I could to display my waist in the smallest, like, that's not the right word, yeah, portraying my waist as small as I could while still portraying as much width through my upper body as I could. So yeah, that was a good session, that was very productive. Big shout out to Kyle for that. And so yeah, put that in practice. We worked on some transitions, and obviously it's going to take me practicing a little bit more to really get the hang of them, but I think next time when I step on stage, I'm going to have a significantly better routine, significantly better eye walk, and it'll just be a more fun experience because I'll be more confident when it comes to posing. So yeah, that'll be good. But anyways, I'm going to catch you in the next video because I need to get home and eat because I'm starving and I need to be able to tomorrow for work. So yeah, catch you guys in the next one. Adios.